Yes! Woo! Good Thavas support coming up. Let's just get into it. Alright, so first off we got the GR. Wave second and third. Counterblast one. Flip any card in the G zone. Perfect. We have a generic flipper. At the end of the battle, which this unit attacks, pay the cost. If you do, choose two of your rearguards, stand them, and for each face-up card in your G zone, they get +5. Yes! This is Alambros with only meeting the second wave or the third wave requirement instead of the fourth battle like Lambros did. This gets better in the late game. This means that you don't have to have restanders or fourth battle enablers in a sense to do your thing. Commander Thavas is good, but you want to get as many attacks as you can with whatever resources you have at the moment, because we're Aqua Force, we don't Superior Call. In order to get advantage, we need to have advantage to begin with, so we may not have all the pieces when we need them. So this card is really good. I definitely can see Lambros cutting down to 2 at least. The very reason because Lambros is free, and this guy's a counterblast 1, so I don't think you can resolve as many as Alexandros in one game. So having that pair of Lambros just when you really need it, because either A, you don't have enough counterblast, or B, you can use that counterblast on a restander rearguard to get another attack more out of it, such as Adelaide. So we're gonna go more into this. But first we got a grade 2 Battle Siren Sibra or Shippa. Translations were different in Facebook in this. So her first skill is Continuous Rearguard Circle, non-GB. If you have a Thavas Vanguard, this unit gets +2, and the skill Continuous Resist on Rearguard Circle. This is really good. This gives Thavas an actual rearguard they can use to attack during our turn. We don't have to worry about Denial Griffin, we don't have to worry about Hedorah Hound, etc. This is solid, and it's an 11k beat stack by itself with just having the Thavas name, which is really good because you're going to be on Thavas anyway, because you are playing Thavas. And also, if you're not on Thavas for whatever reason, like Scaros or some other grade 3 you're playing, you can strike Thavas and still be good with that. And the second skill is a GB1, Rearguard Circle, wave second to fourth, counterblast 1 when this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, and during that battle, this unit gets +3. So it gets even stronger, and it gives you a card. It's like Melania, the grade 1, which is very good. And since it's resists, you're going to attack, draw a card, and you're going to have her on the field just sitting there unless they attack it. Which most of the time they're going to waste their big attacks on rearguards unless they really need to. So this is solid. And it gets additional power, the +3. So if you're not on a Thavas Vanguard, you could actually become 12k. So you could hit. But if you are on a Thavas Vanguard, then you'll be 14k. And with a 7k booster, you make 21 actually. Yeah, 21. Perfect numbers. This is good. And for the longest time, Thavas had a solid lineup of, in the non-wave build, Tidal and Adelaide, and then your other grade 2s will be like Tex. This can actually just fill that spot now, and we have a solid grade 2 lineup now, which is fantastic. And this is going to come up more because Control's coming out more in the Lean Joker, the Zoo Booster with Mega Colony, and already what's out there with Blade Master and Vanquisher. So, good stuff. More reveals. We finally got a new grade 3 Thavas, the champion of storms. So when you stride, choose one card from your hand, call it a rearguard. Oh, it says choose one card. I think in the translation it says up to 1. So choose one of your rearguards. In that turn, it gets continuous resist. And if that rearguard has the wave ability, it gets the ability to attack from the back row. So in the translation, at least on Facebook, had the up to clause, kind of like Oatmeal does, which is flexible in the sense that you call your card from hand, and you can give it that skill right then and there. And because it can give resist to any card, you can give this to Tidal, Adelaide, anything. And if you choose a wave rearguard, then you have basically another attack from the back row, and you get more attacks that way. And this works with any stride too. This works with Lambros still, or Wailing, or etc. So you'll get your number of battles, you know, by just having another back row attacker, which means Stacia might actually just be cut. But we'll see, right? And so for the second skill, it's a GB2 skill, wave first or fourth. It's a once per turn. Counterblast 1, when the battle of this unit attack ends, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand it. So we have a restanding Thavas as rear guard as well. So this guy is very good in both Vanguard Circle and Rear Guard Circle. And it's a restander now in our arsenal in our grade 3 lineup that isn't clunky. We used to play Benedict, if you guys play that, and Benedict's still good actually. But this having the Thavas name on top of that makes it so much better. And if you don't have the right grade 2s, then you have your grade 3. So, hot. And we got more stuff. We got Dragon Rider Dinos, where he has the first skill, Continuous Rear Guard. If you have a Thavas Vanguard, this unit gets resist as well. So it's just like the grade 2, the new one. You have another resist booster now. We have Melania that can serve as a booster and attacker. And sometimes you need to make sure that you have a whole column as resist. You usually have, like with the Scaros, the front row being resist by his skill, and then a Melania or an Orpheus on the back row resist as well. So cards like Blink Joker or Control can't really kill it, or even, you know, for whatever sake, if Kagero plays, what's his name? Root Flare. There you go. They don't kill the whole column, and then, of course, Neo Flame, and all that stuff that can mess with your columns. You have another resist booster, and it could help making sure that you always have a booster to hit numbers too. And if you're already hitting numbers, then this just adds on top of it, putting up the pressure even more. So it's really good with the first skill, and it's also the Thavas require name, so more and more Thavas being as Vanguard is becoming more relevant. And oh yeah, and the grade 2 and the grade 1, they are continuous Rear Guard Circle, and it doesn't say during your turn. So that means on your opponent's turn, you have resist. So they can't even retire it. They can't lock it. They can't do shit to it. They have to attack it. And then the second skill is GB1, first or fourth. So bless 1 when this card boosts. If you have a Thavas Vanguard, pay the cost. If you do, choose one. Your opponent chooses one of their Rear Guards and retires it. So this basically compensates the OG Thavas' strike skill, where you get to retire something. And this is like, hey, don't worry, fam, I got you. You get to do your turn with doing a back row attack and have resist, and this will give you still the control that you, that a lot of people like having in Thavas. A lot of people like Thavas because it has some control aspect into it, just by striding and making it to the 4th battle. And this helps compensate for it, and it has resist as a booster or just on Rear Guard Circle. But yeah, this works better as a booster. So this is cool, and I like his name, Dinos. It's like a dinosaur or something, but that's cool. Going into Blue Wave, we got Galeos, finally revealed. He's a once per turn GB1. Damn it. It would have been shenanigans if you could do early game like grade 2, or even grade 3 greater Blue Wave. But anyway, Counterblast 1, choose a Blue Wave from hand and discard it. Oh, that sucks. Whatever. It's for Blue Wave, so you're gonna have it. But still, being flexible to discard whatever card you need, you can just pitch, it's better. But still, when this unit attacks, if your Vanguard's original name is Blue Wave, pay the cost. You need Blue Wave Vanguard, understandable. If you pay, it gets the auto Rear once per turn when your Vanguard attacks, stand this unit, and then it gets +2. And then if it's the first battle of this turn, stand this unit. So just like in the anime, this works a little more flexible depending on what you stride. But again, it's a card that can attack 3 times. You don't have a great setup, so you might like ditch a useless Blue Wave card, whether it's like Baragios if you have already 2 on the board, or 3, or if you have like a useless draw trigger. Like we even don't know if the Blue Wave draw trigger does something useful or not. But point is, you use discard a useless Blue Wave card, and this gives this guy an extra battle, and it could be enough to push extra battles during your turn, especially if you're doing a restanding turn with Hazard or Tetra Boy himself, and it's good. With the other one down here, we got the stand trigger revealed. I was a little disappointed. It's GB1, retire this unit, choose any number of Rear Guards and change their positions and draw 1 card. This is kind of, this would have been better if it was a draw trigger, because you're running draw triggers anyway. And if it was just a draw trigger with this kind of skill, it gave you the flexibility to use it if you really needed it. The fact that if it was a draw trigger, and this still applies if you play the stand trigger, you can throw this down as a booster in the early game using like Fuegos or Tidal if you want to dish out good attacks, or just have another booster just to make numbers. And then when you get to striding, because it's GB1, you can retire and just like draw a card. Like, you don't lose anything. It goes back, you get a card back in the hand. Just like how Brutal Trooper and Petros work. Brutal Trooper goes back into the deck to give you 2 new cards, while Petros goes into solo to give you a new card and stuff. And but other than that, I don't see him being played. Maybe 1 or 2, but I really don't know, because you really want the draws, because if you're gonna be minusing, you'd rather hit draw triggers to help compensate that. Also, you need combo pieces in Aqua Force. You need crits to have the pressure. You want to have crits because you have restanding rear guards and a restanding vanguard. So I don't know. But going back to Thavas, because whew, this guy is really good. So your first stride just became super bonkers. And by super bonkers, I mean even better than Lambros. So we have the older cards still. We have Mitchell's, we have Bubble Edge, we have Battle Siren Adelaide, we have Lambros himself, of course, we have Melania, we also have Benedict and Skiros at our disposal. And what I mean by bunkers, I mean your first turn, let's say you're playing Mitchell's as your starting vanguard. If that's the only thing on the field and it's on one of your other columns in the back row, that's what you do. You can stride into the GR. You can use Thavas' stride skill to call, let's see, where is he? He's in the other one. You can call Dinos right here, this guy, in front of the Mitchell's, because he's probably going to be in the back row. Give him the resist and the attack from the back row, because he's a wave unit. Flip those. Mitchell's is now the attacker, while Dinos is the booster. And on the other column in the front row, you can call Adelaide, you can call Tidal Assault, you can call Benedict. But let's say we do Adelaide. And now that you have Adelaide in the other column, you're going to use your skill, so she's going to restand. And this is the attack pattern you could do. You could either do Adelaide first, or you can do Mitchell's first. But you do want Adelaide to attack a rear guard, so that way you can restand later on. And with the Mitchell's column, you're still hitting numbers, because it's 5 plus 7, making 12. And then when your vanguard attacks, where is it? The GR. He activates at the end of the battle. And Mitchell's works wave 3rd time or more, and when your vanguard attacks. So at that moment when you declare the attack, swoop Mitchell's, get the new Thavas, champion Thavas, onto that where he used to be in the front row, and you do your triggers. You probably pass a trigger to him or Adelaide, depending on how many triggers you got. Make it pass it on to champion, making sure that he's 16 by himself. That way, because Adelaide's gonna be 16, because when you do the GR, you do the counterblast, flip a card, and then target the Adelaide and the Dinos in the back row. So now your whole field is stood up in a sense. Your Dinos is 12k base, your Adelaide is 16k base, and your champion Thavas is either 11k, and if you got a trigger, it's 16k, and so on. 4th wave, because champion Thavas is restricted to the 4th wave, you attack with him by himself, restand by a counterblast. This is the 4th attack. Now for the 5th attack, it could be either Dinos or champion. You want to attack with the weaker one, in case they haven't hit a defensive trigger. Or you can boost to make a bigger hit. But if they're still at 11k, then Dinos can hit the vanguard for 12. And then you got champion Thavas to attack for 16 if you got a trigger. So that's already 5, 6. And then Adelaide can attack 7, restand, attack 8 attacks. And just like that, we got 8 attacks on first stride. This can be very devastating for certain decks, and it could just win you too. So this is big. This is what we wish we would have liked to do with Lambros first stride, but Lambros didn't give the power up until you had basically 2 cards face up. But with now at least given the plus 5k, it actually helps out a lot more than you would think, and it promotes more attacks in that sense too, which is fantastic. And it just noticed that I only had 2 cards, Adelaide and Dinos. It could be, instead of Dinos, it could be another wave unit like Melania. It could be Adelaide can be a Tidal, it could be a Benedict, it could be another restand, it could be a Magnum. But with that kind of combo, you are aggressive, and as soon as first stride happens, you're explosive, and that's what Thavas was starting to fall behind. And this is, you're going against decks like Night Rose, you're going against decks like ZTB, Battle Sisters, and all that stuff that are aggressive on first strike. Like, I'm going to punch you hard like a truck. And now Thavas is like, I can punch you hard like a truck too, with not as much resources that I used to need, and having the right cards to have too. And the fact that it has resist units and he gives resist to anything is very solid against control. And now we have a way better matchup against control in general. There are still annoying units, Deluge and then the Transcell Messiah Stride, that do get around our stuff a bit, but other than that, it's much better because we have resist. We don't have to worry about the Now Griffin, we don't have to worry about Head Around. We can do our Lambros turn if we really want to, or we can just do our Alexandro's turn now, which is our new GR stride. So with the grade 3 lineup, you have an option of playing the OG Thavas, which I think it shall be because the name is so important. It gives the new grade 1 and the grade 2 the resist. And Skittles, in a sense, gives your front row resist too during your opponent's turn, but you lose out during your turn because you're not on champion Thavas. And then if you don't have Thavas, like you have to strike Thavas, Commander or Wailing, to have your grade 1 and your grade 2, the new ones, to have resist during your turn so they don't get fuck over with like the Now Griffin and Head Hound and so on. Or even the new Butama G-Guard that like grabs grade 1s from the back row too. Ooh, that's annoying too. So Skittles can be a valid option too with an OG Thavas. So you can play, let's say 7 grade 3s. You got 4 champion, 2 Skittles, and 1 OG Thavas. That's what my friend recommended. I was also thinking about 4 champion and 3 OG Thavas just to have the consistency of the Thavas name, and it's still valid to have the resist power up. And I also have been tempted to do 2 OG and 1 Benedict, because Benedict in a sense is another title, and in this sense is a 5th title. It can come up because our new GR counterblasts, and the turn that I just went over uses 3 counterblasts. If you had a outlet, not an outlet, if you had a title or you had a Benedict, then it's 2 counterblasts, right? So that can go a long ways, having a free restander. And because Alexandros gives more power for every card face up in the G zone, Benedict and title become so much better in the late game than they used to. They used to struggle to hit numbers by themselves unless you had something to power up. And then they'll always be abusable with a Lambros turn. But now you can abuse them on Alexandros turn, which is the same thing with Lambros, but even better, with less commitment too. So, I'm excited, guys. So, comment down below what you guys think. Definitely want to deck lists, combos, all that kind of stuff. Theory crafting. Like, for example, you can also approach it from a different way. You can go more of the weight build. You can go more techie build where it's like, I don't need as many restanders. I can play Jenka, I could play other cards like Saber Flow and all that stuff. There's a lot of things you can do with this, which is so nice that you can just sit down and theory craft and try to come up with a build that works for you and your format, or wherever you play, your locals, at your regional or your big event, etc. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, and share. See you guys.